The battlefield was silent now. Only smoke and the smell of burning metal filled the air. A human soldier lay broken among the ruins, his armor cracked, his body trembling. He tried to breathe, but each breath felt like fire inside his chest. Poison from alien weapons was spreading through his blood, slow and cruel. He knew he was dying, and he knew no one would come for him. Around him the night was heavy, stars shining coldly above. He looked up, wondering if this would be the last sky he would ever see. The once proud warrior felt weak, helpless, and alone. He closed his eyes for a moment, waiting for the end. But then he heard footsteps, soft and careful, moving closer. At first he thought it was an enemy, come to finish him off. His hand reached for his broken weapon, but his strength failed him. The steps stopped beside him, and a shadow leaned over his body. Through the smoke, he saw a figure, a woman, not human, but alien. Her eyes glowed faintly, and her hands carried something strange. She was dressed in healer's robes, long and flowing, glowing faintly in the darkness. Her voice was calm, almost like a whisper from another world. "You are dying, human," she said. "The poison will kill you soon." The soldier coughed, blood on his lips, and laughed bitterly. "I already know," he whispered. "Let it happen." But the alien woman did not move away. Instead, she knelt beside him, her strange glowing hands touching his chest. He felt a coolness against the burning fire in his body. Her eyes softened as she looked at him with pity. "You do not have to die tonight," she whispered. The human stared at her in disbelief. "No medicine can cure this," he said. "Your people made sure of that." She shook her head slowly, holding up a small vessel. Inside it, a glowing white liquid shimmered in the dark. "It is not medicine," she said. "It is something far older." The human frowned, too weak to argue. "What is it?" he asked, his voice barely a breath. Her eyes locked on his, and she spoke words that made his heart stop. "If you want milk, just close your eyes," she whispered. Her voice carried both danger and promise. The soldier blinked in confusion. Milk? From an alien doctor? Could such a thing save him? Every part of his training told him not to trust her, but every part of his dying body begged for one last chance. His vision blurred, darkness creeping closer with every second. The alien doctor leaned closer, her presence both strange and gentle. "Close your eyes," she repeated. "Trust me, or you will not live to see another dawn." Her words hung in the air like a final choice. The human's heart pounded weakly in his chest. Was this his salvation or a cruel trick before death? He tried to lift his hand but failed, his body too broken. Instead, he looked into her glowing eyes, searching for truth. For the first time in a long while, he saw no hatred there, only fear, and something that looked like mercy. The battlefield around them was silent, but his mind was screaming. Should he trust this alien stranger? Should he close his eyes and accept her strange cure? Or should he hold on to his pride and let death take him here alone? The night grew colder, his heartbeat slowed, and her voice came once more soft and desperate. "If you want to live, close your eyes, human." Her words echoed in his fading mind. Darkness pressed harder against him, ready to swallow his last breath. But in that final moment, his eyes fluttered, his choice hanging between life and death. The question was simple, but terrifying. Would he close his eyes? The human's body was heavy, his breath shallow, his heartbeat faint. Darkness pulled at him, whispering to let go. But the alien woman's voice cut through that darkness like a thin blade of light. "Close your eyes, human," she said again, her tone calm but urgent. Her glowing vessel of white liquid shimmered in the smoke-filled night. The soldier's cracked lips moved, his words almost lost. "Why, help me." "I am your enemy," he whispered. The alien shook her head, her silver hair brushing against her robes. "Not enemy," she said softly. "Not to me." Her eyes carried something he could not understand. Sorrow, maybe, or guilt. She placed the vessel close to his mouth, The strange liquid inside moved like light caught in water. It smelled faintly sweet, but not like anything he had ever known. "This is milk," she explained, "but not like yours. Human milk feeds a child. Mine heals life itself." Her words sounded impossible, yet her eyes begged him to believe. The soldier coughed, weak laughter shaking his chest. "You expect me to drink alien milk?" he said, his voice filled with disbelief. The woman did not smile, she only leaned closer. "If you do not, your heart will stop before the sun rises," she warned. "You will not see another dawn, and all your battles will end here alone." Stared at her, trying to see through her calm mask. Could this be a trap? A cruel game before death? Yet why would she kneel here, risking her life in the middle of a battlefield? Her people would kill her if they found her saving a human. Still, she stayed, her hands trembling slightly as she held the vessel. The soldier's mind raced, torn, between mistrust and desperation. Every second his strength slipped further away. His hand twitched, reaching weakly for the vessel. The alien doctor's breath caught, as if she feared he might refuse at the last moment. She whispered again, "Trust me, human. Just this once." Finally, his pride broke under the weight of death. He closed his eyes, surrendering to her words. She carefully lifted his head and pressed the vessel to his lips. The glowing milk touched his tongue, warm and strangely alive. A surge of heat rushed into his veins, spreading through his body like fire turning to light. The poison in his blood screamed as if fighting back. He groaned, his muscles locking tight, his heart pounding hard. But the alien's voice stayed near, steady and calm. "Do not fight it. Let it flow. Let it heal you," she urged. Her hand rested against his chest, feeling every violent beat. Slowly, the burning inside him began to fade. The blackness that had been pressing into his mind pulled back. His breathing grew easier, his body lighter, his eyes opened wide, staring in disbelief at the alien doctor. "The milk had done what no medicine ever could. You saved me," he whispered, his voice raw with shock. The alien looked away, her face shadowed by sorrow. "I broke the law of my people," she admitted. "If they learn what I have done, they will kill me." The soldier's chest tightened. With guilt, she had risked everything for him. A stranger, a human, an enemy. He tried to sit up, but his strength had not fully returned. Still, he managed to look at her, his eyes sharp now with new fire. "Why?" he asked. "Why risk your life for me?" The alien's lips pressed together, her silence heavier than any answer. Finally, she whispered, "Because I could not watch another life end when I had the power to save it." The human stared at her in awe. His world changed forever in that moment. She was no longer just an alien, no longer just a healer. She was someone carrying a secret that could unite or destroy both their kinds. The battlefield around them lay in ruins, but something far greater had just begun. And in his heart, the soldier knew, this was only the beginning of a story that would change everything. The human soldier lay back against the shattered ground, his chest rising and falling faster now. The strange liquid still lingered on his tongue, warm and alive. It flowed through him like a river of light, burning at first, then cooling. For a moment, he thought his body would tear apart from the force inside, but slowly the pain began to break away, piece by piece. His lungs opened, pulling in air more easily. The fire in his veins faded, replaced by a strange warmth. His fingers twitched as life returned to them. Even his vision, once blurry and dark, sharpened with every blink. He looked at his trembling hands in disbelief. The alien doctor knelt beside him, watching closely. Her glowing eyes studied every change in his body. She did not smile, though relief flickered across her face. "You see, human," she whispered. "The milk works." Her voice was steady, but her hands betrayed a small tremor. The soldier swallowed hard, his throat still dry. "That was no medicine," he whispered hoarsely. "What did you give me?" The alien hesitated, glancing around as if the night itself could betray them. Then she leaned close and spoke softly. "It is our forbidden gift." He frowned, confusion twisting his thoughts. Forbidden? Why? It saved me. Her eyes darkened with sorrow. "To share it with your kind is treason," she admitted. "If the council discovers what I have done, they will kill me." The human froze at her words. She had risked not only her life, but her honor, her place, everything for him, a stranger, an enemy wounded on her soil. His chest tightened, not from poison but from guilt. "Why me?" he asked again, his voice raw. The doctor's gaze softened, her silver hair catching the faint glow of the stars. "You were dying," she said simply, "and I could not watch another life end when my hands had the power to save it." Her word struck deeper than any blade. The human felt something stir inside him, something he thought he had buried long ago. Silence stretched between them, heavy but not empty. The battlefield around them was still, smoke rising like ghosts. The soldier finally broke the silence, his voice stronger now. "If your people find out we are both dead," he said. The alien nodded, her eyes unflinching. "Yes." He tried to rise, but his muscles resisted. The alien pressed her hand gently against his chest. "Not yet," she warned. "Your body is still fragile. The poison has left scars inside you." Her touch was steady, her voice calm, but the human could sense the weight pressing on her heart. He looked at her closely, really seeing her for the first time. Not just an alien, not just a healer, but a woman burdened with danger. Her people would call her traitor. Yet here she was, kneeling in the ruins beside him. A part of him wanted to question further, but another part whispered to stay silent. Some truths were too heavy to demand all at once. Instead, he whispered, "You saved me, and now I owe you my life." Her expression flickered, torn between relief and fear. "You owe me nothing," she said quickly. "Just survive." But her voice shook on the last word, betraying her fear of what was yet to come. The human knew then that survival would not be simple. As he lay there under the broken stars, his body slowly healing, a dangerous bond began to form between them, unseen but unbreakable. He was human, she was alien, and yet their fates were now tangled. Every breath he took was a reminder of the secret she carried, a secret that could save him, or doom them both if discovered. The night stretched on, but his heart no longer feared the darkness. Something else now stirred inside him, stronger than pain, stronger than death. And as the alien doctor watched him in silence, the soldier knew one truth above all. This was only the first taste, the beginning of something far greater than either of them could imagine. The human woke with the sound of birds he did not. No, the night had passed and pale light touched the broken battlefield. He moved his arm and was shocked to feel strength returning. The wounds that had burned with poison now only ached softly. He could breathe without pain, and his vision was clear again. The alien doctor sat a short distance away, her robes torn from the chaos of war. She held the small vessel in her hands, staring at it as if it were both a blessing and a curse. Her face was calm, but her eyes were heavy with thoughts. When the soldier shifted, she looked up sharply, relief crossing her features for only a moment. "You survived the night," she said quietly. "The milk saved you." He pushed himself into a sitting position, his body still weak but alive. The human studied her with careful eyes. "You risked your life to save mine," he said. "But you still hide something from me." Her hands tightened around the vessel. "I told you enough," she whispered. "More could place us both in danger." The human leaned closer, his voice firm but not harsh. "I deserve to know, doctor, what exactly did you give me? What makes it so forbidden?" Her eyes met his, and in them he saw fear unlike any he had ever known. Finally, she lowered her head and spoke in a voice almost too soft to hear. "My people. We carry a gift in our bodies, a milk created not only for our children but for life itself." He stared at her, struggling to believe the words. "It heals," she continued. "It restores what death tries to take." Her voice trembled as, though even speaking the truth was dangerous. But our council, our leaders, declared it sacred, meant only for our kind. She lifted the vessel, the liquid glowing faintly in the morning light. They believe if we share it, humans and others will depend on us, exploit us, she said bitterly. They call it protection, but in truth it is control, to keep us silent, to keep us bound. Her hands shook now, her calm mask breaking. Apart, I was sworn never to use it on you, never to cross the line between species. And yet I broke that oath to save a dying human. The soldier's heart beat faster at her confession. She was no simple healer. She was a rebel in her own quiet way. If her people learned the truth, they would not forgive her. They would kill me, she whispered, answering the thought in his mind. Not just me, but my family. My whole name would be erased. Silence fell between them, heavy and sharp. The human clenched his fists, guilt twisting in his chest. He had survived because she had defied her world, and now her life hung by a thread, fragile as smoke in the wind. I never asked you to risk so much, he said, his voice low. The doctor's gaze hardened, strength burning in her silver eyes. You did not need to ask, she replied. I could not let another die when my hands could heal. Her words cut through him, more painful than the poison had ever been. He realized she carried more courage than many soldiers he had known, a different kind of courage, born not of battle, but of mercy. The soldier touched his chest where the warmth of her gift still pulsed. He whispered, If they find out, we are both finished. The doctor nodded slowly, her face pale but steady. Yes, she said, and that is why you must never speak of this. Not to your people, not to mine. This secret must die with us. Her voice was final, sharp as a blade. Yet in her eyes was a flicker of something else, something unspoken. A bond had been created between them, dangerous and powerful. The human knew he could never betray her, not after what she had given him. But deep in his heart, he also knew secrets like this never stayed hidden for long. The morning wind blew across the ruins, carrying the weight of their choice. He was healed, alive, and forever tied to her forbidden gift. And though the doctor tried to remain calm, her trembling hands revealed the truth. They were already standing on the edge of discovery, and one wrong step would bring death to them both. The human no longer felt the shadow of death pulling at him. His body was still weak, but strength returned a little more with each passing hour. The alien doctor stayed close, checking his pulse, watching his wounds, listening to his breath. Her hands glowed softly whenever she touched him, as if her very presence pushed the poison away. It was strange to him, strange to be cared for by one who should have been his enemy. At first he resisted speaking to her, pride and suspicion holding him silent. But long nights made silence heavy, and soon words slipped out. He asked her about her people, about her world, about the laws that made her gift forbidden. She answered carefully, never giving too much but still enough to paint pictures in his mind. Her voice was gentle, carrying both wisdom and sorrow. In return, he spoke of his own battles, his life as a soldier, the losses he had seen. He told her of the emptiness that followed every victory, how friends had fallen beside him, and how war left more scars on the inside than on the body. She listened without judgment, her silver eyes softening each time he paused. It was the first time he felt someone truly hurt him. One evening, when smoke still hung over the horizon, she asked softly, Why do your people fight so hard, human? Why give so much for land, for war, for blood? He stared into the fire they had made from broken wood. His answer was slow, heavy with truth. Because if we don't, we lose everything. And sometimes we fight because we don't know what else to do. Her expression was unreadable, but her silence spoke louder than words. She reached out then, adjusting the bandage on his shoulder. The warmth of her touch lingered longer than it should have. For a moment neither spoke, the closeness breaking the wall between them. He realized then that she was more than healer, more than alien. She was someone alone, just like him. As days passed, laughter slipped between them like sunlight breaking clouds. He found himself smiling at her sharp remarks. She even teased him once about how fragile humans seemed. He fired back with jokes about her glowing eyes and strange robes. For the first time in months, maybe years, he felt alive beyond survival, but danger never slept. At night, he noticed shadows moving beyond the ruined walls. The doctor's calm eyes sometimes flicked toward the distance, as if she sensed watchers, whispers, had started rumors of a healer hiding something forbidden. Her hands trembled slightly when she thought he wasn't looking. The human saw it and clenched his fists. She had risked her life to save him, and now her people were circling like wolves. He swore to himself that if the council or guards came, he would not let them take her, not after what she had given him, not after the bond they had formed. The soldier who once thought he had nothing left to live for now had something worth protecting. Late one night, as the fire dimmed, the doctor sat close to him. Her voice was softer than ever, almost breaking. "You must leave soon, human," she whispered. "If you stay, they will find you. And me." But he shook his head, his jaw set firm. "I will not leave you behind. Not after all this." Her eyes widened, surprise flickering across her face. For the first time, she looked, uncertain as if her walls were crumbling. She whispered, "You don't understand. Staying with me means death." But he only leaned closer, his voice strong. "Then let them come," he said. "I've faced death before. I will face it again for you." The words hung between them, heavy and dangerous. Neither could deny it now. The bond between them had grown. It was more than survival, more than gratitude. It was trust, fragile yet powerful, the kind that could change both their lives. And in the silence of the night, both knew their fates were now tied together. For better or worse, the alien doctor had always lived in shadows, but now the shadows grew heavier. Her secret visits to the ruined battlefield had not gone unseen. Whispers followed her through the streets of her city, soft but sharp. Some said they saw her robes, stained with human blood. Others claimed her glowing vessel carried something more than medicine. She kept her head down, pretending not to hear. But inside, her heart pounded with fear each time a soldier's eyes lingered too long. The human still rested in hiding, his strength growing with each day. He wanted to leave, but his body was not ready. And more than that, he did not want to leave her alone with the storm gathering around her. One evening, as she returned from gathering herbs, 2 guards stepped in her path. Their armor glinted under the moonlight, their voices sharp. "Doctor," one said, "the council demands answers." Her stomach tightened, though she kept her face calm. "What answers?" she asked softly, though she already knew. The guard sneered, his eyes narrowing. "Strange energy has been detected near the old battlefield," he said. "Some say you have been seen wandering there, after dark." The second guard leaned closer, his tone cruel. "You wouldn't be hiding something, would you?" The doctor forced herself to meet their gaze. "My duty is healing," she replied, steady but quiet. "If I walk near ruins, it is to gather herbs for my work." The guards exchanged looks, not fully convinced. Finally, they let her pass. But the weight of suspicion followed her all the way home. That night, she returned to the human's side, her steps quicker than usual. The soldier noticed her pale face, the tension in her hands. "What happened?" he asked, his voice low. "They are watching," she admitted, setting down her herbs. "The council grows restless. Soon they will discover us." The human clenched his jaw, anger flashing in his eyes. "You saved me, and now they want to punish you for it." He growled. He tried to stand, but weakness pulled him down again. The doctor pressed him back gently, shaking her head. "Do not waste your strength. We must be careful, not reckless." She worked in silence, grinding herbs, preparing poultices, but he could see the worry hidden behind her calm face. Every sound outside made her flinch. Every shadow at the window made her eyes tighten. The human felt guilt crawl inside him, heavier than his wounds. Because of him, she was now a target. Hunted by her own kind, the days passed. and the whispers grew louder. Villagers began to avoid her clinic. Mothers pulled their children away. Old friends no longer met her eyes. It was clear. The council's suspicion had poisoned the people against her. And still, she returned to the battlefield each night carrying food and water for the human. One night, as the firelight flickered, the human spoke. "You can still walk away, you can leave me and save yourself." The doctor froze, her hand pausing on the bandage she was changing. Then she looked at him, her eyes burning bright. "I will not abandon you," she said, "even if it means my life." The soldier's heart clenched at her words. He had heard oaths on battlefields sworn by brothers in arms, but none had carried the same weight as hers. This was no bond of duty, no command from above. This was choice, her choice, to stand. Beside him against her world, far away in the council chamber, voices rose like thunder. Reports of forbidden energy, rumors of a doctor betraying her oath. The elders demanded proof, and guards were ordered to follow her every step. The net was tightening, the trap nearly closed, and neither the human nor the alien doctor knew how soon it would snap. The night was quiet, too quiet for comfort. The alien doctor moved through the ruins with her usual care, carrying food and water in her satchel. Her heart beat faster than normal, for the whispers in the city had grown louder that day. Someone had accused her openly in the market, calling her traitor. She had kept her head down, but she knew the council's eyes were now fixed on her every step. The human waited in the shadows of the broken walls. When he saw her appear, relief filled his chest. But before he could greet her, he noticed the way her hands shook as she set down the satchel. "They are watching me more closely," she admitted, her voice low. "I fear they will follow me soon." The soldier frowned, his jaw tight. "Then we must leave before it's too late," he said, but her silver eyes turned toward him with sorrow. "You are not ready, your body is still weak," she whispered. "If you try to run now, you will collapse, and both of us will be lost." He hated her words because he knew they were true. Every day he grew stronger, but not strong enough to fight or flee. And she would never abandon him, no matter the cost. That bond, unspoken but powerful, held her here when safety lay elsewhere. It was a bond that could not remain hidden forever. That night, as the wind howled through the ruins, the sound of footsteps broke the silence. The doctor froze, her face pale. The human reached for a broken weapon nearby, though he knew it would do little. Torches flared in the distance, voices echoing against the shattered stone. The guards had come, drawn by suspicion and rumors. The doctor's hand gripped his shoulder, urging him to stay still. Her glowing eyes darted across the ruins, desperate for an escape path. But it was too late. The guards poured in, armored and armed, their faces grim. At their head was a captain with cruel eyes. "Doctor," he said coldly, "we finally find you where the whispers claimed." The alien doctor stood, trying to shield the human behind her. Her voice trembled but did not break. "I am gathering herbs," she lied, her hands clutched tight around her satchel, but the captain's gaze slid past her, sharp and suspicious, and then he smelled the air, the faint trace of human blood still lingering. With a signal, 2 guards pushed past her. Searching the ruins, the human held his breath, his heart pounding loud as thunder. For a moment he thought they might miss him, hidden in the shadows. But then one soldier kicked aside broken stone and found a bloodied bandage. He lifted it high, shouting, "Evidence!" The captain's eyes gleamed with cruel satisfaction. He stepped closer, glaring at the doctor. "You are harboring an enemy," he hissed. "This is treason, punishable by death." The doctor's face turned pale, but her body stood firm. The human pushed himself up despite his weakness. "Leave her!" he shouted, stumbling into view. The guards froze for a moment at the sight of a human alive. But then their shock turned to fury, weapons raised in an instant. The doctor rushed forward, spreading her arms in front of him. "He lives because of me," she cried, her voice echoing in the ruins. "If you kill him, then kill me too, for his life is bound to mine." Her words stunned even the guards, though the captain sneered. Then both of you will face the council's judgment, he said, coldly. Bind them and bring them before the elders. Rough hands grabbed the soldier, forcing him down. Chains closed around the doctor's wrists, heavy and merciless. She did not fight, her eyes never leaving the human. He struggled, rage burning in his chest, but she shook her head softly, whispering, "Do not resist, not yet." As they were dragged from the ruins, torches lighting the night, the human knew the secret was no longer safe. The forbidden milk, the bond between healer and soldier, all had been uncovered. Now the council would decide their fate, and deep inside, he feared Mercy would not be part of that judgment. The great hall of the council was carved from stone older than memory. Tall pillars rose into darkness, their surfaces covered with symbols of power. The chamber echoed with whispers as the guards dragged the alien doctor and the human inside. Torches burned along the walls, their light flickering like judgment itself. Every eye turned to them, some filled with shock, others with hatred. The doctor's wrists were bound by glowing chains, heavy with law and punishment. The human was forced to kneel beside her, his body still weak, but his spirit burning. The council elders sat high on their thrones, robed in colors of rank. At the center was the high elder, his eyes sharp as a blade. "Doctor," he said coldly, "you stand accused of treason against your own kind." Her head was bowed, but her voice did not shake. "I healed a life," she said simply. "I used the gift we were born with." The hall erupted with gasps and angry murmurs. One elder slammed his hand against the stone, his voice fierce. "Our law forbids it. The sacred gift is not for outsiders." The human clenched his fists, fury boiling inside. He struggled against the guards, his voice echoing through the hall. "She saved me. Without her, I would be dead," he shouted. "She risked everything for life itself, and you call it a crime?" His words silenced the chamber for only a breath before the anger grew louder. The high elder raised his hand, and the voices fell, quiet. He turned his gaze to the soldier, his expression unreadable. "And you, human," he said, "why do you defend her? You are nothing here, an enemy who should already be dead." The human lifted his head, his eyes blazing with defiance. "I defend her because she gave me more than life. She gave me mercy when no one else would." The doctor turned slightly, surprise flickering across her face at his words. For a moment her eyes softened, the chains forgotten, but the council was unmoved, their faces hard with centuries of law. "You speak boldly," the high elder said, "but mercy cannot erase treason. The punishment is death for both, healer and healed." A chill spread through the chamber. The human's breath caught, but before despair could take him, he forced his voice stronger. "Then kill me alone," he demanded, his words sharp as steel. "Spare her, she should not suffer for saving a dying man." The guards jerked him back, but the fire in his eyes did not fade. The alien doctor shook her head fiercely, tears gathering in her silver eyes. "No," she whispered. "Do not trade your life for mine." Her voice grew stronger, echoing across the stone. "I chose this. I broke the law knowing the cost. I will face my fate." But inside, her heart cracked as she saw the human fight. For her, the council elders whispered among themselves, their voices like rustling knives. The high elder finally raised his hand again, his judgment cold. "Your choices matter not. The law is the law," he declared. "You will both be taken to the prison until your execution is arranged." The guards moved forward, their chains rattling with finality. The human and the doctor were pulled to their feet. The chamber roared with voices, some demanding blood, others whispering in doubt. But the human kept his eyes locked on the doctor, his voice low but fierce. "This is not the end," he said, his words a promise. And she, though trembling, whispered back, "Then let us endure. Together." As the heavy doors closed behind them, the hall filled once more with angry debate. The council thought they had sealed the fate of one human and one healer, but they did not see the bond forged in chains and fire, a bond that would not break under law or death. And in the shadows of the prison, a new struggle was waiting to begin. The prison was carved deep into the mountain, its walls damp and cold. Chains rattled each time the human shifted, the metal biting into his wrists. Beside him, the alien doctor sat in silence, her hands bound by glowing cuffs. The air was thick with despair, yet her presence kept the darkness from swallowing him completely. For hours neither spoke, but their hearts beat with the same thought. How to survive. At last the human broke the silence, his voice low but steady. "They will kill us soon if we do nothing," he whispered. The doctor closed her eyes, her voice carrying both fear and strength. "Escape is impossible. The council guards this place with all their power." Her words hung heavy, but he refused to accept them. The human leaned closer, his eyes fierce even in the dim light. "I have escaped worse prisons than this," he said. "I will not let them end your life for saving mine." The doctor turned her face toward him, her silver eyes shimmering. "You would fight an entire council's guard for me?" she asked, her voice trembling. He gave a small, grim smile. "I would fight an entire world," he answered. The silence that followed was not hopeless. It was filled with fire. Something unspoken passed between them, stronger than chains, and in that moment escape became more than a dream. It became a vow. That night, as the guards changed shifts, a faint sound echoed down the corridor. The human lifted his head, straining to hear. It was the scrape of a lock, slow and careful. From the shadows a figure appeared, an ally, a young alien with nervous eyes. The doctor gasped softly, Why are you here?" The young alien glanced around, fear written on his face. "My sister owed you her life once, doctor," he whispered. "She told me to repay the debt. Tonight is the only chance." He pulled a small device from his cloak, pressing it against the chains. With a hiss of energy, the cuffs clicked open. The doctor's eyes filled with both relief and dread. "If they discover your betrayal, you will suffer," she warned. But the young alien shook his head quickly. "Go before it is too late," he urged. "The council plans your execution at dawn." The human rose to his feet, his body still, weak but his will unbreakable. He placed a hand on the young alien's shoulder. "You saved us," he said firmly. "We will not forget." The youth gave a quick nod before vanishing back into the shadows. The doctor gathered her robes, her voice urgent. "We must move now. Once the guards return, there will be no second chance." They crept through the dark halls, each step a silent battle. Torches flickered, voices echoed faintly from distant corridors. The human gritted his teeth, forcing his body to obey. Every muscle screamed. But the fire of survival carried him onward. The doctor led the way, her memory guiding them through the maze-like prison. At last, they reached a passage that opened into the forest outside the mountain. Cold night air rushed against their faces, carrying the scent of freedom, but the moment felt fragile, like glass ready to shatter. Behind them, the sound of alarms rang out, sharp and merciless. The escape had been discovered. The doctor's hand grabbed the human's arm, pulling him forward. "Run!" she whispered fiercely. "Run while we still can." The forest stretched ahead, dark and endless. Their hearts thundered with fear and hope. Each step carried them further from death but closer to the unknown. The human glanced back once, seeing the prison torches flare brighter. The guards were coming, their voices rising like a storm. He clenched his jaw and pushed harder, his voice steady despite the fear. "They will not catch us," he swore, and beside him the doctor whispered, "Not if we run together." The forest swallowed them whole, shadows stretching like claws between the trees. Their footsteps pounded against the earth, hearts racing with each breath. Behind them, horns blared and torches lit the night. The council's guards were hunting, their voices sharp like blades cutting through the dark. Every step forward was a fight between life and death. The human's body still ached, though the milk had healed him enough to run. But he could feel the weight of weakness clinging to his bones. Beside him, the alien doctor's robes snagged against branches, her breath sharp but steady. Neither dared to stop, neither dared to look back, until at last the forest opened to a cliffside sheer and merciless. The doctor froze, her silver eyes widening at the drop. The ground ended in stone, and far below, a river roared like thunder. Behind them, the glow, of torches grew closer, shadows moving between the trees. The human clenched his jaw, his hand gripping the broken blade he carried. "There's no way out," the doctor whispered, her voice breaking, but the soldier shook his head, fire burning in his chest. "There's always a way out," he said firmly. He turned to face the trees, the sound of armored boots crashing closer. The doctor grabbed his arm, desperation in her eyes. "You cannot fight them all, you'll be killed," she pleaded. The human gave her a grim smile. "I was dying before you saved me," he said. "You gave me life when I had none. Now let me give you mine." Her lips parted in shock, her hands trembling as she held on to him. "No," she whispered. "I will not lose you, not after all this." The torches burst from the trees, soldiers spreading in a circle around them. Their captain stepped forward, his cruel smile cutting through the night. "You cannot run any further," he sneered. "The law will be fulfilled." The doctor stepped in front of the human, her voice strong though her body trembled. "Then let the law kill me first, for I will not let him die again." Her words silenced the soldiers for a moment, but the captain only laughed, raising his blade high. "Then both of you shall fall together," he declared. The human stepped forward, pushing her gently behind him. His broken blade gleamed weakly in the torchlight. The doctor's eyes filled with tears, but she said nothing. She knew he would not yield, not after everything. The soldiers advanced, their weapons sharp and gleaming. The human lifted his blade, his stance firm though his strength was fading. "This ends here," he growled, "but I will not bow to your law." The first guard charged, steel flashing in the night. The human struck back with fury, his blade meeting the soldier's armor. Pain tore through his arms, but he refused to fall. Another came, and another. Still he fought. Each strike was fire, each breath was defiance. The doctor's voice cried out, her hands glowing with desperate energy. She pressed them against his back, whispering words he could not understand. Strength surged into him, a final gift, his body burned alive with fire not his own. With one last roar he drove the guards back, but they kept coming, endless, relentless. The human's legs trembled, his chest heaved, his blade cracked. He knew he could not last, yet he stood taller. "I will not let you take her," he shouted, his voice like thunder. "If death is here, then it will take me first." The captain raised his hand for the killing blow, and in that moment the human stood unbroken. Beside him, the doctor's tears fell, her hands pressed against his back. She whispered one final vow into the night. "If he falls, then I fall too." The torches closed in, blades raised high. The forest echoed with the clash of fate. At the cliff's edge, with no path left to run, the human and the alien doctor made their final stand, and the night itself seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the outcome. The clash of steel rang across the cliffside. The human's arms trembled with every strike, his blade cracked and weak. The alien doctor stood behind him, her hands glowing, feeding him strength though it drained her own. The soldiers closed, in their captain ready to strike the killing blow. But before the blade could fall, a voice thundered through the night. "Enough!" The High Elder's command echoed across the battlefield. The guards froze, their weapons lowered in shock. From the shadows, the council leader stepped forward, his eyes hard but thoughtful. He had followed them, unseen, to witness the truth for himself. Now he looked at the human and the doctor with something neither expected: doubt and curiosity. The human's chest heaved, blood dripping from his arm. Still, he stood tall, his broken blade lifted. "If you want her," he growled, "you'll have to go through me." The elder studied him for a long moment, then his gaze shifted to the doctor, her silver eyes wet with tears. "You defied our laws," the elder said coldly. "You gave the sacred gift to one not of our kind." The doctor lowered her head, her voice steady despite the chains. "Yes," she admitted. "I did it knowing the punishment, knowing the price. I would do it again because life is greater than law." Gasps rippled through the soldiers. Never had anyone spoken against the council so boldly. The elder raised a hand, silencing the whispers. He turned back to the human, his tone sharp. And you, why do you fight for her? You owe her nothing but survival. The human lifted his head, his voice raw but strong. I owe her everything, he said. She gave me life when your laws would have left me to die. She showed me mercy when no one else would. And if I must give my life to protect her, then so be it. The elder's eyes narrowed, studying the fire in the human's gaze. He had seen warriors before, proud and cruel, but never had he seen one willing to stand broken and bloodied for someone not his own. Slowly, the elder lowered his hand, his voice quieter now. Perhaps our law has blinded us more than it has guided us. The soldiers shifted uneasily, uncertain of what they were hearing. The doctor's eyes widened with disbelief. Could mercy truly come from the council that had sworn her death? The elder looked at her, his face stern but not cruel. Your bond with this human is dangerous, yet it shows a truth we have long ignored. He raised his staff, striking it once against the stone. The healer shall live, the human shall live, he declared. The gift is no longer forbidden. It is a bridge, not a curse. The soldiers murmured in shock, but none dared defy the elder's word. For the first time, hope flickered in the doctor's chest. Her chains fell away, glowing fragments scattering. Like dust, the human dropped his blade, relief washing over him like a tide. He stumbled, nearly falling, but the doctor caught him, her hands steady despite her trembling. Their eyes met, filled with unspoken words. Together, they had survived the impossible. The elder turned his back, his voice fading into the night. Let this be the beginning of something new, he said, and then he was gone, leaving silence in his wake. The guards slowly lowered their weapons. Uncertain but obedient one by one, they vanished into the forest, torches flickering out. The cliffside grew quiet once more, the river roaring below as if to carry away the past. The human leaned against the doctor, his voice weak but steady. We're alive, he whispered, as if the words themselves were a miracle. She smiled, faintly, tears sliding down her cheeks. Yes, she said softly. We're alive and free. The night sky stretched above them, endless and bright. Two souls who should have been enemies now stood side by side. Their bond had broken chains, defied laws, and reshaped a future. And though danger still lurked in shadows, a path had opened before them, a path not of war, but of healing, of hope, and of new beginnings.